How many jobs are you missing every week because people can't find you online? Even the best trades business won't grow if your website and Google Business Profile aren't visible, optimized, and built to convert. I'm Barry, and I help UK trades businesses like yours appear at the top of search results and turn clicks into real jobs. This month, I'm giving away 10 free website and GBP audits. No charge, no catch, just the insights you need to start winning more local jobs. Book a free consultation now. calendly.com/siteace.
Hello and welcome to WarrenThornton.com. Hello and welcome to WarrenThornton.com. We are pleased to announce that we've managed to survive Typhoon Uwan. And of course, we are with the wonderful Paul Brooker from Viral.tv and Paul Brooker TV. Good evening, Paul. How are you?
Good evening, Warren. Good evening, everybody. I'm doing very well, thank you. We've had some rain here. Probably not on the level as you showed us just before the show, Warren. Yours was substantially more.
Yes, and we will be showing you a little bit more of that throughout the show. We will be getting into Paul's now. We couldn't do a live yesterday for obvious reasons. Of course, we were going through the middle, and we are still 36 hours in. No water, no electric. So by the miracle of modern technology, Mr. Brooker has managed to keep the lights on and help us go. We kept the lights on this end, and we're able to bring you a show. This is probably going to be one of the longest shows you've ever seen. Paul will be with us for the first hour, I believe. Is that correct, Paul?
Yeah, that's correct, Warren.
And of course, we have got an absolute ton of stuff for you tonight. We've also got a breaking story that absolutely nobody else has got, and it's to do with, shall we say, the missing Ukrainian legions, which have suddenly disappeared off the face of the planet. Those are the ones that have been trained in Britain to plug gaps in the Ukrainian life. But we are going to start with Paul Brooker, who's got a ton of stories for us, getting ready. Paul, over to you.
Right, okay, let's dive right in. So, let's head over to X first. Bit of good news. Olympics set to ban all transgender athletes from female events after finding scientific evidence of advantages to being born male. I mean, wow. Well done, Daily Mail, for just working this one out. Well done. And to the Olympics.
I was about to say that to you, Paul. It is quite incredible, isn't it, when you get this nonsense, and it is nonsense, isn't it, that they have to find a scientific reason for banning it. The fact that fast twitch fibers in men, I mean, there are differences between men who do this sort of thing, for the simple fact that some people have fast twitch fibers, some don't. We are physically much stronger. The very fact, you've only got to see, or when you have the 4x100 mixed relay for a bit of fun, and you see, the Polish girls out in front by about 6 weeks, and the American athlete just breezes past them.
Well, Warren, it's obvious, isn't it? I mean, how many women do you know that go into male sports? None. Why?
No.
Because their bodies, and I'm sorry, they are not as advanced as a male body. We are machines that are better at physical activity. There's the truth.
Yeah, exactly that. Exactly that. It's absolutely crazy that they think for 1 second that there is any chance that that a woman can compete against men. I'm sorry, say what you like. Um, Paul.
On to the next one. Well, guess what? As if the illegal criminal migrants haven't been given everything already, they're now getting, well, we're now getting a lot more foreign drivers on the road, shall we call it?
Have any of you not noticed how fucking shit some of the drivers on the roads are these days? And yeah, I had to just do my hair because I look like the final boss. But yeah, we've all noticed it. There's far more people. Most of them are fucking horrendous drivers. Well, I've got the answer why. You ain't going to believe it. Well, you are going to believe it. Since 2016, there's been 1.36 million foreign drivers have been issued a driving licence without taking a test. Yes, you heard that right. Now, I've asked Grok, and look what Grok says, if this is true or not. What do you think? Yes, the figure's accurate. Official Department for Transport data provided in response to Rupert Lowe's MP's parliamentary questions confirmed that 1.367 million foreign driving licences were exchanged for the UK equivalents without requiring a UK test since 2016. No wonder the fucking roads are chaos. I mean, have any of you tried to drive in any of the big cities? I mean, it's almost as though lanes don't exist. Pedestrian crossings don't exist. We knew something was going on, didn't we? But no. Just like what we've been saying about the skies. And now they've gone to Congress and they've been saying, yeah, they've been geoengineering and doing the climate change bullshit for 20 odd years or something. But anyway, next time you're paying for your daughter or your son's driving lessons, £50 a go, and then you've got to wait in the queue for a test, just remember, 1.4 million of them never had to go through any of that bullshit.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember many years ago, a good few years ago, the very first time Polish drivers were coming over here, there was a spate of accidents, and that was simply because they were turning around and saying that their what's the word, the preliminary driving license, the one you get before you learn to drive, the that was literally being exchanged by the Poles for lorry licenses. Would you believe?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen, don't get me wrong, the UK isn't without its own catastrophic drivers, but
Yeah.
the fact that that anybody can come in and exchange it and there's no equivalence as such, you know, their tests aren't the same as our tests.
No.
Now I'm sitting here thinking, do I fly to India and get one of their driving licenses and then just come back and exchange it for a UK one? Go take it easy. I spent well over £1,500 getting my driving license because of how expensive it is. And yes, I was a little bit slow. I'll hold my hands up to that one. But could you just go across to India, pay for a Mickey Mouse driving test, slip the guy 200 quid, come back and just exchange it? Job done. No hassle, no stress.
You can do that here, Paul. Literally, I was offered the chance to actually. I said, "Well, I don't have a Philippines. I've never. I was in the army, obviously, and then they took me to do something else in the army. I was going to be a lorry driver, but in the end, I never actually passed my test because I only spent 2 weeks driving. But of course, here's the thing that goes with this, which is crazy. Is in the Philippines, I was offered. I said, "Well, I don't drive," and they said, "Well, you can." If you've got as a foreigner, if you've got £300 to spare, and you're willing to also, shall we say, pay the costs of your license, we will make sure you can drive forward. We make sure you can drive reverse, and we will make sure that you know how to do an emergency stop. And then for £300 plus the cost of 7 driving lessons, which you then don't have to take, we will supply you with a pass that you can then take to your local barangay and get everything sorted out.
Oh, as easy as that, eh, Warren?
One of those,
Right.
mate.
On to my next story, and this is just a slide, which I think everybody should be aware of. Now, when the government want to raid our pockets, and they have raided our pockets something chronic recently, the duchies are exempt from corporation tax. Here's what we are owed in the UK. The Duchy of Lancaster, £27.4 million they made. We are owed, which we have not gotten because they are exempt for whatever reason, £6.9 million they owe in corporation tax. And that's for 1 year. The
Yeah.
Duchy of Cornwall, £23.6 million. We're owed £5.9 million. The Treasury is missing out on £12.8 million. I am at a point they should not be working under any rules that we are not working under. So they all need to be paying corporation tax as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. And it's funny that they're registered as a corporation rather than who they are, for the simple fact then they don't have to pay 45% tax on the
Yep.
high tax bracket earners. Here's the thing, Paul, that I've got to ask. I've got to ask you because you're the financial guy, right? So we're looking at on the 26th of the month, we know that their tax is going up and up and up. We know
Yep.
that they're going to tax the living daylights out of us because they have a £92 billion shortfall. Look
Hang
at
on, Warren, just for context, she took over 22 billion just last year.
Yeah.
She has racked it up beyond belief. She's
Yeah.
busting the economy.
Yeah, well, you're talking about 21 billion on Green New Deals. We have pledged to give Ukraine, God knows how much money each month. We've certainly given them at least 15 billion since Labour took office, and also lots and lots of weapons that we bought. We're paying top dollar for American weapons, which are then being given to Ukraine for free. Rachel Reeves has avoided in the interview she did with Andrew Marr on the Sunday morning show. She avoided talking about tax left, right, and centre. The problem is they're saying, or the economists are saying, you have to do this because we are in such a hole. And the economists, of course, are saying, you must do this, you must do that. But Labour know if they do it, they'll get a revolt from their backbenchers. Because where they're going to nick it from, they're going to put your pension up to 70. And then what they're also going to do is nick it off the welfare.
Yeah. I mean, they're already going after, shall we say, sickness, anything else you can possibly imagine, they're going after. And I think we're going to see new taxes coming because if they try and stick to their pledges, which I don't think they'll be able to do, then they've got to find the money in new and interesting ways. And that only means new and weird taxes. And obviously, you're going to see the standard stuff go up. Fags, alcohol, you name it. All the normal stuff's going to go up again. And do you know what? They need to be careful because if the UK population gets sober, they're going to see everything. And bearing in mind, we are a country of raging alkies. That's the truth. We love a drink in the UK. And if we sober up, people are going to start looking as to who, what, when, and where. And it's not going to be pretty for them. It really isn't.
Well, how long before cigarettes are £15 a packet and a bottle of scotch is 50 quid? Mark Chamberlain. Mark Chamberlain had his hands up first. Mark?
Well, sorry, I was typing something there. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to say is we're struggling for money. There's 22 billion and all this, that, and the other. I've got a brilliant idea. Why don't we just get rid of every single migrant?
Yeah, absolutely. When we're talking, already the cost of the migrants has been £13 billion already from this year. That is incredible. That is the price. When you put one migrant up in a hotel, Paul Brooker, over the space of 4 years of being here, you would have spent on him £433,000 per person.
Wow. And they're supposed to be the obviously the traditional thinking is that they actually contribute to the economy. Well, that only works if your economy is booming.
Yeah.
Our economy is not booming. So you are bringing in people that are going to be a drain on society. I mean, when you start looking at the statistics from other countries, and I want to say it was Denmark or Sweden, 44% of the migrants that came in ended up on social.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. And it was 20 billion, by the way, we gave to Ukraine. Nilis?
Well, I think we're not putting in what we're servicing our debt for.
Yeah.
I've heard that the service we have to service our debt to
Yeah,
the
we do.
international by, is it 9 billion every month?
We do, yes. Yeah. And it's just going to go more and more through the roof. You're absolutely right there, and that's a brilliant call. Of course, when we look at that, it's going to get worse and worse and worse. There is something I want to ask Paul here, because the latest opinion polls show Conservative and Labour on 16% and Reform on 32%. But here's the thing that nobody is talking about, and it is incredibly dangerous because they are getting funded left, right, and centre. Who do you think's in second place in the polls, Paul?
Islamic League or something along those lines?
The Green Party.
No, behave.
Yes,
No one's
they are.
voting
They're on
Green.
17%. Now, they are being funded left, right, and centre by absolutely everybody on the green agenda. Because remember, there's
Wow.
a $17 trillion industry behind this. And there are certain people that
There's an
want the
industry that
Greens
doesn't
to do that.
work. The
Doesn't
green
work.
industry doesn't work.
But they don't care, Paul, as long as you are being taxed. And the fact that they could get together with the Conservatives or Labour and stop Reform from forming a sensible parliament, unbelievable.
Wow, that's just crazy. That really is. Do you know what? I can see Conservative and Labour doing a deal with Green.
Yeah. But there's money behind the Greens, Paul. There's a lot of money.
I want to know who's still voting for Labour, because quite frankly, I would love to see a Labour voter come on this show, please, and fight their corner.
Yeah.
I would love it. If any of our viewers are a Labour voter, please reach out, because I want to understand how they've kept their promises. Honestly.
I'll ask James Tweedy tomorrow.
Is he a Labour voter still?
I have a feeling, Neil, and if you're out there and you're watching, James, we all have a feeling you're a bit of a lefty. Nilis.
What I was going to say is, although the Bank of England, the government bought the shares in 1946, it's still a private company because it is a part of the Crown estate. And we don't know who the shares holders are, what the owners are, because it's kept secret. It's one of the only companies in the whole of the country that is kept secret.
Yes.
We know that the royal family has it. We know that they're not paid in money now from their profits. And they're getting 9 billion a month, but they're paid 4 times that amount in British bonds.
They are.
And according to Justin Walker, who wrote a very interesting article on the UK column. He was actually the godson of Lord Thornton, who was a director of the Bank of England, and he got some of his information, I think, that way.
Okay, thank you very much. Paul.
Right, on to my next story. And we got to talk about feeding chickens.
Uh-oh. Are they registered?
This tomato has come out of my polytunnel. This is legal. I can give this straight to my chickens. But not if I do this. This tomato is illegal. I've cut this tomato with a knife that has been in my kitchen. That means my chickens cannot have this tomato. It is now classed as kitchen waste. Illegal to give to chickens. Straight out of the polytunnel is legal. Cut with a knife from my kitchen is illegal. There's an unlimited amount of money that you can be fined, and you can risk 6 months imprisonment for using a kitchen utensil to cut your garden veg to then give it to your chickens. Be careful, guys. This applies certainly to England, possibly the whole of the UK. Don't do it.
That's bureaucracy gone mad. If you're if you class that as kitchen waste, when I cut a tomato like that, you need to go into one of those pods. You know, the ones where you decide you had enough and you don't want to be around anymore, because you're just wasting valuable oxygen. Okay, if you're one of those people who go around enforcing that law, Paul Brooker.
Absolutely, Warren. Also, now I've been around a few homes that people have had their own chickens. They always feed their chickens the kitchen scraps.
Yeah.
It's the best way to get rid of them. So you're telling me you're not allowed to put your waste food and keep it inside the green agenda by recycling? Wow.
Yeah.
I am like, this was all part of registering your chickens. This is the next level. They
It
do
is.
not want us growing or even
Our own
having
food.
our own food supply.
No, exactly that. Nillis, your waste food, like your tomatoes and stuff like that, will you be rubbing it into an asylum seeker?
No, I don't think so. But what I was going to say, I saw another TikTok, might have been by the same woman, and she was saying it's now illegal to, if you've got chickens and you've got extra eggs, it's now illegal to either sell them or even gift them to your friends or work colleagues or family.
Well, you know, when they turn around and go, that used to be the old joke, didn't it, about the chicken, you know, flying over next door's fence and laying an egg, and then the guy goes round to retrieve it. Sean Murphy.
Well, I think these petty bureaucrats or these idiots that make these rules up should all go into the polytunnels, and the polytunnels then should be totally sealed, and they should be left there until they withered and wilted.
Yes. Let's put it this way. I think Monty Python said it best when they said he's making it up as he goes along. I think that's our government. If you are one of those bureaucrats out there doing that, you need a swift kick in the testicles. Paul.
Right, on to my next one. And this made me absolutely ashamed to be a Christian. I felt awful when I saw this. So let's play it and you can have a listen.
26 churches, and 23 of them turned her down. This is what happened to Nicolene. She called 26 churches for help. She pretended to be a desperate mother without baby, playing the sound of a baby crying in the background, begging for help. Some churches gave excuses. Some hung up, and others coldly responded, "We don't do that here." But she didn't give up. She made another call, but this time not to a church, to a Muslim mosque. The response was completely different. "Where are you? What kind of formula do you need? Come here, we'll help you." The churches who preach love thy neighbor failed to offer any help in a time of need, while the often misunderstood Muslim community showed what real faith looks like through action. After this experiment, some supported Nicole, believing she exposed the hypocrisy of the religious system. Others criticized her for stirring unnecessary controversy. But no matter where you stand, we all have to ask ourselves, if even those who claim to preach love can't practice it, then where can we find real love?
Yeah, so let's be absolutely honest here. You're quite happy to hold out the plate, aren't you, for us to fill it full of money? Not a problem at all, or put it in an envelope or whatever. This has always been the scene that I've never understood. You know, God built the world in 6 days, and on the seventh day he rested. And he built all the mountains and the rivers and everything, but he just can't get the hang of money. He always needs a little bit more. Unbelievable. Look after the people. That is what the church is meant to be about. Looking after the people. Unbelievable.
Yeah, absolutely right, Warren. I mean, you've just got to look at this. The church is supposed to be the final place you ask for help. They're supposed to have all the answers as well, Warren. And I'm sorry, but anyone with half a brain who was answering this phone in this church would go, "Don't worry, love. All is not lost. Give me 5 minutes. Let me find out what we can do for you."
Yeah.
Find a phone number. You name it. And do you know what? I will tip my hat to the Muslim faith, the person in that mosque who went, "What do you need?" There was nothing else. I mean, talk about preaching love. They preached more love than those Christian churches, and that made me ashamed to be a Christian.
Yeah, it does make you ashamed. And to be honest with you, if you are one of those churches who turned her down, close your church, because you're not doing what you're supposed to do. Okay, whether that be you know, a Protestant church or a Roman Catholic one, Oh, and by the way, leave the kids alone. Nillis.
Well, in my town, it's the churches that run the food banks, and I think that's very general throughout the country. And or even if they're not based in the churches, they've got people that help run it are people from those churches. It would be interesting. This is in America, but it'd be interesting to know the names of those churches and the name of the mosque.
Do you know how you get food from a food bank in the UK, Nilla?
Well, you get the food if you're on benefits.
Sorry?
I think if you're on certain benefits, you can get it, can't you?
Yeah, exactly that. And you can only go twice. I think it's twice in the space of 6 months. So this is not. It's not quite what people think it is. And you also have to jump through hoops. I know a woman who went. 4 different people she had to phone up. Now, what if you haven't got a mobile? What if you haven't got any money on your mobile? You haven't got it charged. You're a guy on the street. What do? Mark Chamberlain and then Paul.
Yeah, ours is run by the churches. They're all run by the churches, I think. But to get a food bank voucher, you have to contact the benefits agencies.
Yes.
You have to get in touch with somebody else, and then they put you through to a charity, and the charity decides whether you can have it or not.
Yes. Yeah, exactly that. You're absolutely right. Thank you for putting more flesh on the bones of that, Mark. I missed Eric Jones. Sorry, Eric. Eric.
Yeah, real quick. It's odd, though, isn't it, that God pretty much owns everything. Jesus took a vow of poverty, but the church somehow needs money.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly that. But they'll stand there in their £3,000 cassocks and all the rest of it, with their purple surplice over their head and their bonnet on, which costs an absolute bloody fortune. But they won't help somebody who's in need. Sean Murphy.
Well, it just makes you wonder if when you go to university to get a degree in theology, how much of that is mathematics, like counting the collections, and banking, and I bet there's quite a bit of that involved. So not that I've done any, theological study, but I should imagine management, parish management, and money management is a big part of their theological training.
I've actually studied that. Bored out of my mind, and I thought I'll have a little look into it. Amazing how much money the Catholic Church gets for its people to look after their areas. Paul Brook.
Do you know what? My last thing on that is I went to Dubai. I sat in one of their mosques. They are the nicest people you could imagine. And I truly believe there are nice and bad in every religion. Yeah. Problem is, I think Christianity has gotten fat, it's gotten lazy, it's gotten all about keep the money rolling in. Yep. That's where I sit.
It got complacent and it forgot what it was meant to do.
Exactly, because you go back to the medieval times, everybody knocked on the door and said sanctuary on a church. And unfortunately, that's that.
Can you get
Sean Murphy
now? I doubt it.
Yeah. Sorry, Sean Murphy.
They seem to preach about the Good Samaritan. They're always happy to preach about the Good Samaritan, but they don't practice what they preach.
No.
I don't have anything to do with them, because I saw through the Roman Catholic Church many, many years ago how hypocritical it was, and they tried to drag in all this money, and it's corruption, and it's corruption that comes from the top, and I'm talking about the Vatican. It's total corruption.
Well, the Vatican Bank is the richest bank in the world. Paul Brook.
Right, and just for a bit of lightheartedness, because I've realised I don't bring enough lightheartedness to the show. And sorry, you've seen a little bit of a spoiler.
Trap packages! I am reporting reporting you to the HOA right now. You are getting fined, and I will press charges.
Oh no!
Hey, drop the ball. Not today, buddy. What the? Baseball. Back on my court.
Oh.
You're doing. Taking your package?
Not today.
Fuck you!
Be a bitch.
That was a flashbang, I think. Glitter bomb on that one. That one was paint. Just for a bit of light here.
Send me that video, please, Paul.
Yeah, I will do one.
Absolutely brilliant. And do you know what? There'll be people out there trying to sue people for that sort of thing. The people who are porch pirates, the people who go stealing stuff, that might be something that a child needs or is needed, for very much needed by the family, not something that you just think, oh, I'll grab that. You are an opportunist thief, as far as I'm concerned, and you're better than a jackal who will just go and steal a kill because it's been, not attended by a leopard at that precise moment. So it'll run in and grab you. You're an absolute hyena and a scumbag. So if you get covered in blue paint and a flashbang I love, I'm very, very happy with that.
Right, and my next one, we got to talk about financial because a big revelation has happened, and this is something that I've been suspecting for a long, long time.
I didn't realize that if the average year the money printer goes, call it 8 to 10%, even in the Western countries, even in the OECD nations, and the average return on the S&P 500 is, call it 9-ish%, including dividends, maybe 9.7, maybe a little less, that it means that all of the work of the S&P 500, all of the value created there is actually the money printer. So you can put all your money in the S&P 500 and you're not gaining any relative wealth at all. And I still didn't get it until I'm age 58. I didn't.
There you go. So just to explain that in a nutshell, the government is printing money all the time. Yep. It's just a matter of how bad it prints the money. And there is a direct correlation between inflation and money printer goes brrr, making it. Whatever they print, the cost goes up. The problem is that money is being taken out of the system and parked. This is what is breaking the system. And I had a wild idea, which was we should take nothing with us when we die, and we should not be able to leave anything to anybody else. The money needs to just go back into the system for the next generation to keep the next generation not in poverty. And what he said there is 100% true. If you go in a standard S&P 500 index fund, which is you put all your money in one place and they invest it in the top S&P companies, it goes up on average 9%. Well, the government print about 10% of all wealth every year. So you actually make no money. And that's... Here's
the thing that troubles me, Paul. I've always wanted to ask you, right? We work on what they call a fractional reserve system, right? So you put money into a bank. You say, right, say for instance, you take £10 and you put it into a bank. They can then keep hold of £1, which they call the principal, and then they can loan out £9, which they call the excessive reserve. And when you multiply that by thousands and thousands of pounds, they can loan you money that doesn't actually exist.
The money in the banks hasn't existed for years, Warren. It's all fake money, as far as I'm concerned. You've got to ask yourself, who do you owe the money to? The government says we've got a debt of X amount of billions. Why don't we just give them the finger and just press delete on the spreadsheet and start ourselves again?
Exactly. And here's the thing that gets me, Paul, and I need to ask you this one, right? So the government goes, when you want to print some money, the government goes to the Treasury and says, please give us some money. We'll give you government bonds to cover that money. So the Treasury then prints that money and gives it to the government, which goes into the Bank of England and filters down into the high street banks. But they charge you a percentage of interest on that money that they print. So how the hell do you ever pay back? I mean, it's a system of debt already created. Because if you've got, say there's no money in the world and you go to the Treasury and say, give us 100 quid, and they go, right, you pay 15% back. They give you £115. They give you £100, you owe them 115. So you're in debt right from the word go.
Yeah. It's just all, it's all part of the economical slave system. That's it. The money, the debt is all to enslave us because the debt doesn't exist. It exists nowhere. It's a total lie. And I'll tell you right now, if someone from the Bank of England wants to come on and show me who we owe this money to, and I want names, I don't want the name of a faceless corporation. I want names. And I want to know why he or she is the only person that has all the wealth and not our own government.
Did you ever read about that guy, Paul, who literally he took them to court? Not a lot of people know that it's actually happened, but he took them to court because the bank foreclosed on his house, and he said, and he fought it in court, saying that they never gave me the money, just the illusion of the promise of money. They never actually put any money in my account, and the judge ruled with him, and he kept his house.
Wow, I didn't know about that story. That's one we should definitely have a little look at. Right.
I'll dig it up.
On to my next one. And we're going to talk about Gaddafi because this was an interesting interview.
Yes.
I hand carried a letter back from Gaddafi offering to resign. The U.S. didn't want him to resign. They wanted to. Why? Because Gaddafi, and I met him 3 times. I took Biden on my second trip to Libya, by the way. He went with me when I spoke to the whole country. At every meeting I had with Gaddafi, he wanted 2 things. He wanted to unite the African continent into a group of nations economically, like European like the European economy. He wanted to base it on the gold standard. And the U.S. and Europe didn't want that. And the other thing is they wanted control of his oil, and they wanted control of his sovereign wealth. So Gaddafi had to go. That's outrageous, and it's wrong.
Wow. Unconfirmed. Yeah. No. Unconfirmed reports about Gaddafi being captured. Unconfirmed. We came, we saw, he died.
I handed the letter back from Gaddafi.
Yeah. Gaddafi did so much for his people. I mean, when you first had a child, you were given some money. Your first car, half the money went from the government. The government would give you half the money. Your housing, all your dental bills were free. If you had to travel abroad to have a medical treatment, they paid the money for your medical treatment and they paid for your lodgings while you were there.
Yep.
And many
let's
other
be
things.
fair, Europe is tapped out of natural resources. They've got nothing left. If Africa united, it would crush Europe. It would crush Europe. It'd be one of the richest continents on the planet. And everybody would be worried because they would get power and a lot of it. Gaddafi was a visionary. Unfortunately, he tipped his hat to people he thought were genuine, the West. He wanted to do something amazing and he thought they were his friends. They weren't. They needed to tap up the piggy bank because their piggy banks are empty. And that was what Iraq and Afghanistan was all about. Was raiding
Venezuela now.
And raiding gold. Okay? Because the pictures of the gold trucks from Iraq were astronomical.
Yeah, exactly. And Venezuela now. So many. Latin America is full of natural resources, and we'll be having a thing on that later on. Nillis.
Well, I think there's also another reason, and that's because Iraq, Iran, Libya, Yemen were all hostile to Israel's occupation of Palestine.
Yes, there is that. But let's be honest here. Natural resources. If you ever watch a film called 3 Days of the Condor, there's a wonderful scene right at the end with Robert Redford and Cliff Robertson. And he turned around and he said, "Boy, have you found out?" He said, "When people run out of stuff, they'll just want you to get it for them. They won't care how you do it. When we run out of resources, we need to get them." Nillis and then Lee Williams.
Well, if the Greater Israel comes into fruition, then those resources will belong to Israel.
Yeah.
And the Nile to Euphrates, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Lee Williams.
Yeah, quick one. They're putting a little road in down in where the Amazon is, and that's costing a few billion or whatever. That's to do with the West, obviously.
What they've done is done a 6-lane highway, so they can all fly there in their private jets, then take gas guzzling limos, whole lots of them, and then they stop a short way out, and then they climb on a bicycle and cycle to the venue. Yeah, everybody believes that. Paul Brugger.
And a song and a video that I am backing and also laughing at in the same breath. Singapore government introduces mandatory caning for scammers.
Absolutely.
Offenders who commit scams, defined as cheating mainly by means of remote communication, will be punished with at least 6 strokes of the cane. We will discretionary caning in Section 420 of the Penal Code for serious cases of cheating. We will take an equally firm stance against scam syndicates. These syndicates mobilize significant resources to conduct and profit from scams and have the highest level of culpability. Offenders. Scam.
Oh, one of those. I think, I don't know about you, 6 of the best for scammers. Maybe we can get the climate scammers as well, getting the cane. Nillis.
Well, no, getting back to this Brazilian highway, it's already being used for a conduit for illegal gold mining and illegal logging. As soon as you build the road, you gave access to the inner forest, and the people will exploit that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
and if you're one of those people, Mark Chamberlain first. Mark.
Yeah, these people, right? They use all the carbon and all this, that, and the other, and us mere people that just got to work and other stuff like that. They want us to pay a charge. They're taking all around the world. Well, it just winds me up.
Mark, you're too poor to go on holiday. Sell Leonardo DiCaprio your carbon credits, and then he can fly around the world, and you can charge him 40 quid for it. This is where we're headed with this nonsense, and we've got something on that for you later. Paul.
Right, next one. I would like to point out Leonardo DiCaprio has very, very young girlfriends. Why no one's investigated him, I don't know.
Yeah, you're nearly 50, son. Give it a rest.
Turkey has issued arrest warrants for 37 Israeli officials, including Prime Minister Netanyahu, and the U.S. has been pressuring Israel to accept the participation of the National Security Force, and the multinational civil military administration in Phase 2 is expected to oversee the governing specifically of the Gaza Strip. So in terms of that, here's what I can tell you, and of course, thank you for your questions. There will be no Turkish boots on the ground in the present, in the past, in the future, specifically in the International Stabilization Force. Turkey arrest warrant.
Yeah, absolutely. Israel just going, no, we don't want. If you're against us, we don't want you. If we can carry on killing people while of course you've got boots on the ground, that's even better, because then you legitimize what we're going to do.
Warren, just a quick one on Gaza. Is the plan still is natural gas reserves and a new canal to rival the Suez? Is it Suez?
Yes,
No.
the Ben Gurion Canal.
That's the one.
Yeah. And also they're going to turn Gaza into literally, shall we say, a palace for the rich and the famous. And the only Palestinians that are going to be left, Paul, and you did call it, that they were going to completely get rid of every Palestinian. The only ones that will be left are serfs, bin cleaners and waiters. They're not going to have, and there's going to be certain areas that they're not allowed to even go in unless they're working. So, tells you everything.
Yeah. Right. Next one. Another fun one. Well, not fun one. This is why no other pet can rival a dog.
Brilliant. Absolutely fantastic. And certainly protecting the children. Absolutely awesome.
Yeah, I mean, but then also look how many of those baby small children were left outside alone, looking at bald eagles or eagles coming to pick them up and take them off. I mean, wow.
You're spot on. You're spot on there. You've got to have your eyes on your kids all the time. I don't care what anybody says. And if your child gets snatched like that, and you haven't got a dog around to save them, you're not doing very well as a parent, I've got to say. You should, where are they at all times? Yeah. If they're outside, you've got to have eyes on. Simple as that.
Yeah, definitely. Well, that brings me to the end of my stories for tonight, Warren.
Absolutely brilliant. Thank you very much for that, Paul. We're going to get into some of these. And, of course, please go and give Paul a follow over at obviously viral.tv and Paul Brooker and Charlie Ward Daily News as well. So he's literally everywhere. Let's have a little look at this, Paul. This is quite funny. First of all, there's this.
London's School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine has released research which says that nearly 600 heat-related deaths are expected in the UK. Malcolm Mystery, who is involved in the research, says that the aged, pregnant people, women, and those with pre-existing health conditions need to take precautions.
Now, she got in all sorts of trouble for daring to say women instead of pregnant people, Paul. And, of course, the BBC upheld because of the manner in which she did it. So let's have another look.
London's School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine has released research which says that nearly 600 heat-related deaths are expected in the UK. Malcolm Mystery, who is involved in the research, says that...
Right, get ready.
The aged, pregnant people, women, and those with pre-existing health conditions...
Can you name me anybody else who gets pregnant apart from women, Paul?
No, I cannot, Warren. I cannot name anyone other than women get pregnant. But the wokeness of the BBC knows no bounds. She stood up for what she believed in then. Even she's fed up with the wokeness of the BBC.
Yeah, absolutely crazy, isn't it? And of course, the BBC are in terrible, terrible trouble. Have a look at this.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and I'll be there with you. And we fight. We fight like hell. We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and we're going to cheer on our brave senators and congressmen and women.
So they obviously now have to resign, Paul. And of course, they're turning around and saying that the BBC isn't biased. Sure looks biased to me. Let's have a little listen to what she's got to say.
Very well. How are you? Very well. Deborah, have you failed the BBC?
I would like to say it has been the privilege of my career to serve as the CEO of BBC News and to work with our brilliant team of journalists. I stepped down over the weekend because the buck stops with me. But I'd like to make one thing very clear. BBC News is not institutionally biased. That's why it's the world's most trusted news provider.
Why did you fail to deal with the mistakes that were made?
And see my teams. Thank you so much.
Do you think that the journalists are corrupt, like President Trump says? Do you think the journalists
Of course our journalists aren't corrupt. Our journalists are hard-working people who strive for impartiality, and I will stand by their journalism.
Is there institutional bias at the BBC?
There is no institutional bias. Mistakes are made, but there's no institutional bias.
But why weren't the mistakes dealt with on Trump, on anti-Semitism, on women's rights?
I'm sure that story will emerge, but for now I'm going to go in and see our team.
Do you think the board acted against you? Do you think the board acted against you?
This way,
We're going in.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
He said, first of all, that the black guy could put his hand out and push the woman away. Paul, this, I mean, we talk about the BBC being biased and lying. She's just lied three or four times in a minute there.
Oh, the BBC is biased, Warren. It's the arm of the UK government that the UK people are being convinced that they should pay for. There's nothing great about it other than a load of people who want to push whatever the government's propaganda is at the time. And do you know what? What they did, Trump should take them to court and bust them. He should take them for billions of pounds because they painted him as a terrorist. They didn't paint him as just someone saying the wrong thing. They painted him as a terrorist. Go storm the Capitol. I mean, look at it. It was totally out of context. I hope he sues them just to be able to fund the independent British media.
Yeah, absolutely crazy, isn't it? And Nillis, then Sean Murphy.
Yeah, I do listen to BBC headlines just before the subscribers show in the morning. And inevitably, there's a headline, slanted against Trump. Yeah, it's either Obama said something bad about Trump, about ICE, someone was something about ICE. It's nearly every day. And yeah, it is biased. And I was going to say, what about Marianne Spring? Yeah, she should be sacked as well because she's the truth star, isn't she? She should be telling BBC to be telling the truth.
Yeah, absolutely right. Sean Murphy and then Lee Williams.
Well, she said, "Oh, the BBC is the most trusted news source throughout the world." It certainly is. And it certainly isn't in the UK. People have switched on to how biased and how many lies and how political the BBC is, and people don't trust them anymore. And they don't pay for TV. I don't listen to anything on the BBC because if it's on the BBC, it's going to be lies or it's going to be propaganda. It's not going to be real reporting. Their reporters aren't the most hardworking. Their reporters, many of them are plagiarists. They use other people's stuff, change a couple of words, and put it out as their own work. And that's
absolutely like your Will Stewarts. Thank you very much for that. Lee Williams, British Biased Corporation.
Yeah. What about the 55 million that was only like a little cherry from the Bill Gates? What happened to that money?
Yeah, exactly that. Let's have a little look at this because talking about this. I hope you've got an extra couple of minutes to stay with us, Paul. Here we go.
Deep in the Amazon, where air once hummed with birdsong and the scent of rain-soaked earth, there is now only the growl of bulldozers and the sting of diesel fumes. Families who have lived off the land for generations watch helplessly as their homes, livelihoods, and futures are reduced to piles of felled trees. All to build a highway for world leaders arriving to talk about saving the planet for the November COP30. Here's our report.
Nothing says saving the planet quite like bulldozing tens of thousands of acres of pristine Amazon rainforest. This in a bid to build a shiny new 4-lane highway, all in preparation for a climate summit. As world leaders prepare to gather in Brazil's Belém this November for COP30, a global conference on climate action, a massive stretch of protected rainforest is being cleared. This is to make way for Avenida Liberdade, or the Avenue of Liberty. But liberty for whom exactly? Certainly not for the wildlife, indigenous communities, or the fragile ecosystem that once thrived here. The irony is almost too much to bear. The Amazon, often called the lungs of the earth, plays a crucial role in absorbing carbon dioxide and regulating the planet's climate. Yet, in a cruel twist of fate, chainsaws, bulldozers, and diesel-powered excavators are carving through the very forest these leaders claim to protect. The sound of rustling leaves and exotic bird song has been replaced by the relentless roar of heavy machinery. Once a thriving part of the rainforest, the land now resembles a war zone. Logs stacked like corpses, wetlands paved over, wildlife fleeing in all directions. For the locals, the construction of this highway is a personal catastrophe. They say everything has been destroyed. Many lost their primary source of income, and what's worse is that no one was given any compensation. The lush land that once supported generations has been reduced to a soulless stretch of asphalt, and this is only the beginning. Displacement isn't just a possibility, it's practically a guarantee. The highway won't even connect with the local communities. Instead, its towering walls will cut them off entirely, serving only the endless stream of trucks that will soon thunder through what was once untouched rainforest. It's not just human lives being uprooted. The Amazon is home to over 10% of the world's known species, many of which will not survive the destruction. Local veterinarians who help animals injured by human activity are seeing the impact firsthand. Rehab centers are worried about where the animals will go once they're healed. Land animals will no longer be able to cross to the other side of the forest. Their habitats will shrink. Their breeding grounds will disappear. For the jaguars, sloths, and countless other species that have called this forest home for centuries, this new highway might as well be a death sentence. The Brazilian president proudly proclaims that COP30 will be a COP in the Amazon and a COP about the Amazon. But if the summit is meant to protect the rainforest, why is it destroying it in the process?
There are 13 kilometers of deforestation. The fauna is suffering. We find dead animals, the loss of crossings. We even find jaguars approaching the territory. The Igarape that Avenida Liberdade crossed. Many fish died. The water became very muddy. There are countless environmental impacts.
Officials insist the highway will be sustainable. They are pointing to features like wildlife crossings, bike lanes, and solar-powered lighting.
Clarification note about Liberdade Avenue. The construction of Liberdade Avenue does not involve the removal of residents and is not part of the package of federal and state investments for COP30. The avenue is a project started in 2020, even before Belém was chosen as the host of the COP, and is being built in an area that has been inhabited for quite some time, through which a power line passes. The route follows exactly the strip where the vegetation was previously suppressed.
And it's not just the road. Belém is undergoing a massive infrastructure overhaul to prepare for the summit. An $81 million airport expansion to accommodate millions of extra passengers. New hotels and port renovations to welcome a flood of visitors. A massive city park with restaurants and sports complexes. All for an event meant to combat climate change.
So there we are, Paul. My problem that I have with this, and it's a massive one, the cost of the carbon footprint to actually make that will not be covered for the next 140 years.
I can't believe how astronomically mental that is. I thought it was just the road. They've built a load of gibberish for a climate meeting in the middle of the Amazon, which they've just flattened.
Yeah, and made which nobody ever talks about, hundreds and hundreds of species of animals. Some of them will now go extinct, so they can have a chinwag about saving the planet. You absolute scumbags and scam artists, all of you. Let's hear from Martins and then Nillis and then Paul, because Paul has to go in a minute. So be brief, Nillis.
All right. It's the second bad thing I've heard about Lula this week. And the first one was that he blocked Venezuela from becoming a beginning member of BRICS. He does seem to be more of a Western agent than somebody that cares about his people.
Yeah, absolutely. Mark Onza.
Yeah, one couple of things I want to point out. Just do us a favour, can you get that video back up to the beginning, to the first 10 seconds? And two things I want to point out.
I'll have to go back in and get it. Yeah, you have to give me a minute to be able to get it back.
Well, second thing I want to point out, you know, Brazil, it's got second largest reserves of rare earths.
Yeah.
That's one thing to point out. And then what that reporter's doing at the beginning, it absolutely gets to me. She's doing the symbol that they all do, Merkel's favourite symbol. Every time Merkel used to have a picture took, she did that symbol. Same as Tony Blair does it, like they all do it. That's a symbol that for cabal or whatever you want to call them.
That one.
No, gear a second.
Deep in the Amazon, where air once hummed with birdsong.
That one. That one?
That one. That one. I absolutely hate seeing it.
Yeah. Fair dues. Paul Brooker, where can people find you on your social media?
Everyone can find me over on brooker.tv for all my content, and that will link you out to everywhere else that I end up. But thanks for having me on, Warren.
Fantastic. Lovely to have you here. And of course, thank you for all the help you've given us over this last few days in managing to keep the lights on, considering what we've gone through over here. Take care, buddy.
Yeah, you too. Take care, everyone. Have a good evening. Bye.
Thanks very much, Paul.
Okay. Thanks very much to Paul Brooker. Let's go and have a little look at some bits and pieces now on other things after this message. If you need to get yourself a cup of coffee, do so, because you may have to watch this show in 2 segments because you have got a long show tonight. Let's have a look.